Right, I'm just going to do a quick video to get a few things off my chest that people have wanted me to say for a few days now. So here we go. Right, I'm just going to be quick with this, it's not going to be a long one. Adeleide Bird being biased towards Golden Boy fighters. We all know that Adeleide Bird, she was the judge in the Bernard Hopkins fight against Calzaghe. And the Canelo fight against Triple G, she went with Hopkins and she went with Canelo, and I just think she's all for the Golden Boy fighter. There's a couple of other fights. I think there's another Canelo fight that she's done, and I just don't agree with it. I think that she's a favourite of Golden Boy, and I think she needs to be kept an eye on. So that's just one for the future. Adeleide Bird, the African American lady, she's based in Vegas, I believe. She's a judge that I think is all for Golden Boy, and her record proves it if you go and look on BoxRec. Right, that's the point one. Point two, the Joe Fournier situation with the WBA. Now, Joe Fournier, his last fight was 13 months ago, right? And he's just had a fight recently in another country that's not even on BoxRec, and it was for the WBA international belt at light heavyweight, £175. Joe Fournier is a multi-millionaire nightclub entrepreneur, or playboy. Now, we all know he's big buddies with Davey Day, but how can he be the WBA ranked number 11 fighter in the world and the highest ranked fighter in the UK at light heavyweight? How? Pascal's just retired, he's ranked number 10. Pascal would bash him to smithereens, smash him to bits, as Tyson Fury says. So how can he be ranked number 11? I just think it's crazy. And I think these governing bodies, they need to take a look at how their ranking system works, because how could Paul Smith go from ranked 20 odd to number 5 without fighting, and how can Fournier drop in at number 11? What's going on? Why have the WBA got 3 world champions for every weight division? That's 51 world champions from the WBA right across the board. But yet in the olden days they had 7 world champions for every weight, for all the weights. Now we've got 51 champions. It's alphabet soup, innit? Alphabet titles, I call it alphabet soup. It's disgusting. That needs looking at. Point 3, the Ohara Davies situation with Eddie Hearn. Now, Ohara Davies, he's put a tweet out saying he backs the Sun newspaper. Well, he should do, that's his sponsor. But Tony Bellew is a Liverpool fighter, and he's obviously doesn't read the Sun because of what happened with Hillsborough. I can understand that, but Ohara Davies is in his mid-20s. He wasn't born when Hillsborough happened. Now, I'm not going to defend him because he's a prat at times, but Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and Sky have thrown him under a bus. But let's look at it like this. Sky owned the Sun newspaper. Tony Bellew's not got a problem with taking Sky money, has he, off Rupert Murdoch? Because Rupert Murdoch owns the Sun, doesn't he? And Matchroom is owned by Barry Hearn, and has been for 40 years nearly. Barry Hearn has got a column in the Sun. Frank Warren had the same column. He was on £100,000 per year. 100 bags a year. £2 grand every Saturday for a column. A few words on a phone, that's all it is. Dennis has got a column in Sheffield Star. He don't get paid for it because he doesn't take out boxing. He does a column on the phone. I even do it sometimes with him and I tell him what's going on. He sits across from me and they ask questions and I answer them. It goes onto the page in the Sheffield Star every week. Dennis Hobson's boxing column. Barry Hearn's got one in the Sun. He gets £2 grand a week for it. And tell Barry I said that. And Happy New Year, Barry, if you're watching, because I know you will be. So I don't agree with that, and I think it's disgusting what they've done to Ohara Davies. But like I said, he's got 2 brain cells in his head, Ohara Davies. So, but it looks like Tony Bellew's kicked up enough force, and Tommy Coyle from Hull, he's not even a Liverpool lad, to tell tales on Ohara Davies. But Ohara's done no wrong. He's backed his sponsor up. What has he done wrong? It's craziness. Point Point 4. Johnny Nelson's blogs on Sky regarding Anthony Joshua. What planet is Johnny Nelson on? He is the biggest company man, not at Sky, not in boxing scene in England, in world boxing. In fact, in world sport. He is the ultimate company man. He's put a blog out this week saying that Dillian Whyte should change his name to Terminator. Terminator? If you're a Terminator in boxing, boom, you're knocking guys out. Dillian Whyte's recently, to my knowledge, he's just gone 12 rounds with Robert Elenius. He couldn't get a journeyman out there for about 5 or 6 rounds in America. Oh, before that, Liam Lewinson, 12 rounds or 10 rounds, he went the distance on points. Dave Allen went the distance. How's that a Terminator? Johnny, you should be embarrassed. So that's all I want to say on that matter. And I think that Dillian Whyte should grow some of them, some testicles, and fight Lewis Brown, Big Daddy Brown, because we'll see how good he is then. But I don't think Dillian Whyte will take that fight. I think he'll sit on his WBC #1 ranking, and I think he'll wait for his mandatory shot against Wilder and then get knocked out. Point 5. Matchroom saying nothing about Phil Taylor. These are all from questions from the fans. Phil Taylor is a convicted sex offender. He did the sex offence in 1999. I'm not going to go into the details, but he never appealed on it. He got found guilty, got a big fine, right? He had big legal costs. Phil Taylor, convicted sex offender, and he's been at the forefront of boxing, at darts, for Sky, who do boxing and golf and all other sports to do. But Phil Taylor has been leading a good life while he's been on Sky. He's a multi-millionaire, probably worth 10 million, it says in Forbes magazine, for the sportsman. Now he's a convicted sex offender, but Sky can go on about Glenn McCrory getting drunk and partying, and Ohara Davies backing his sponsor, and they get rid of them. And then you've got Phil Taylor. Sky Sports don't want to get rid of him or Matchroom, do they? Eh? It's double standards and they should be embarrassed. Sex offenders have got no place in sports. That's it, they should be locked up for life. That's my opinion. I've got a daughter myself now. He was involved, it were 2 young girls that Phil Taylor's offence with. Now I've got a daughter and I don't want that happening to her. I'd hunt him down like a dog if it were my daughter. So, but yet you've got Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn, they don't want to speak about it. I'm not going to say too much about it, because in case we get any libel letters to our office at Sheffield, but I don't agree with it. And isn't it convenient how Phil Taylor wants to go on Sky and be so smug about it and saying grown men need to confront him to his face if they've got a problem. Well, if I see you, Phil Taylor, I'll tell you to your face, but you're surrounded by security all the time, aren't you, from Matchroom Security? We know who runs security, don't we, but they'll protect you like the prison screws will protect you in jail, so we can't get at you. That's what would happen. If you were in jail, Phil, you'd have to go on Rule 43 and live on the nonsense wing. So, point 6. Bellew going on about Stormzy fans. Why is he going on about Stormzy fans graffitiing and smoking weed, and then saying the police need to put all their efforts into catching sex offenders? Well, Bellew, your boss Eddie Hearn's been employing a sex offender for over 10 years and not told anybody about it. He's your mate Eddie Hearn, isn't he, Bellew? You tell me. You keep coming out with stuff about sex offenders and how you hate them and that, but yet you go to darts, don't you? Just pointing out, mate. We've got photos of you here at the darts. Point 7. Tony Bellew's got, it seems like I'm having a go at Tony Bellew, doesn't it, but I'm not. He's got his 3rd pay-per-view show coming up, right? 3rd pay-per-view. Carl Froch had 3 pay-per-views on Sky, yeah? Tony Bellew's going to have his 3rd. Carl Froch beat 11 world champions. Bellew's beat 2. Cleverly, at wrong weights. And hey, we broke an ankle. Oh, and Cleverly had a dodgy arm, didn't he? How's Bellew got in a position to get free pay-per-views? I'll tell you how. Using his mouth. Using his mouth, that's what he's done. That's why he got a part in Rocky. He's not my cup of tea, Bellew, but he can fight. But he needs to start and think before he opens his mouth on social media. Start having a go at people. People in glass houses should not throw stones, Tony Bellew. Alright, just pointing out to you. You've not beat anybody, have you? Why didn't you fight Ersk or Bradish, you're mandatory? You didn't want to go in that tournament, did you, in Cruiserweight tournament? Why not? Why didn't you go in that? You wanted an easy fight against a shot fighter in David A. That's just my opinion. White collar boxing. I've been offered the chance to fight in a white collar show in Chesterfield in May. That's 4 months away. Fighting at £200, so I'm probably going to have to lose about £50. So I'm thinking about doing that. So if there's anybody out there who's involved in boxing, like Eddie Earn, Frank Smith, Francis Warren, I'd like to fight Francis Warren. Me, Francis Warren, or me against Frank Smith. Francis Warren from Queensbury, Frank Smith from Matcham. I'm offering you a challenge now. At £200, right, I'll fight you in May on a white collar show, and I'll put £5,000 in cash into the pot. If you do, and whoever wins get to choose a charity. That's an offer to you, £5,000 in ready cash. Alright, anyway, that's enough for tonight now. So, all the best, and keep on trucking.